Da Vinci, Michelangelo, Monet, Van Gogh, and Picasso. All of these artists have one thing in common. They're all dead, but they're also great artists, and today we're going to channel our inner artist, remodel our environment, and hopefully create a masterpiece. Last episode, we built this sweet assembly line with harvesters and springboards and graph pipes, and although we ran into a couple minor bugs, it wasn't anything really big. With that much fake rock flying around, you'd think we're at a Nickelback concert. This month, we're going to ignore those bugs, and we're going to build our environment. We are committed to quality. And our players are only going to explore the most exotic of environments. The powerful, jagged slopes of the Rocky Mountains? Not majestic enough. The tranquil fields of the Rocky Mountains? Also not majestic enough. The beautiful, moving, running waters of the Rocky Mountains? Look, it's the only footage I had. But we can do better. Very few places spark inspiration more than the sweet aroma of fake tan, sweat, and old men like Manhattan. And that's just Trump Tower. So we actually chose Manhattan because of Central Park. There's such a stark contrast between Central Park and the surrounding downtown that it makes it perfect for ATRIO. Our plan is to have all of the automation building happen in the park with its open space and lush resources. The exploration happens in the downtown area, where it's more claustrophobic and dangerous. And now it's time to build them out. Let's start with the downtown. So I put together some downtown concept art a while ago, so let's take a look and see if it's any good. Nope! So I was trying to capture this Simon Stollenhog type mood where this guy's getting plugged into a machine like he's in the Matrix, but if you zoom in, it kind of just looks like he's blowing up a clown balloon, which is kind of fitting because my painting skills are a joke. Now this took me like 4 hours, so I decided to get some inspiration elsewhere and found Romain Tristram. His work has such a visually stunning contrast between light and dark using neon lights. He does an incredible job of blending sharp lines and nice colors together, and every piece he puts together is a masterpiece. Take a look at this rain. Beautiful. And this downtown scene has so much life infused into it. And this piece, what the fuck, that's terrible. Oh no, wait, that's mine. This piece and this piece, they're all amazing. If I had just plucked the tiniest little morsel of his skill, I would probably have this. Anyway, so his art became the inspiration for ATRIO's downtown. Now, building an environment is kind of like building a sandwich. You gotta start with the base, the bread, and then build up. So to make bread, you gotta bake it. So we baked lights. Baked lights are pre-rendered lights on objects in the world. They take a while to bake, but once done, they can provide super high detailed lighting without the performance hit. You can see in this mock city we have going on how smoothly the pink and blue lights blend together. Now that the bread is added, it's time to do the meat of the work and add buildings. I start building buildings with the one building that helps you build a gut, the donut shop. Check this out. This donut's perspective is faker than the WWE, but just as convincing, so when we scroll left and right, you can really see how we faked the 2.5D. And we just begin to add buildings. A tall boy, a long boy, 3 generic boys, tall generic boys, and really tall generic boys. Now this time lapse makes it seem like it was easy, but there's quite a bit of detail in each of the buildings, including having to create on and off sprites for every single building. Now there's 2 kinds of artists in this world. Lazy artists and liars. So I actually tried slapping in some stock image buildings to save some time, and they look great, right? Wrong. Their line work is sloppier than the UK back on their first day from quarantine. These gaps are glaringly bad, and without being fixed, they show up even worse in engine. Now don't get me wrong, some gaps are good. Thigh gaps, the gap, gap tooths, it's like a flute, but in your mouth. But this gap is bullshit. But I'm lazy, so it stays for now. And to wrap this up, I add a little strip mall I created. Totally original, and it's definitely going to not be in the game. Now I like doing this exercise. I find I learn and grow a lot from directly copying amazing artists. You can see that my buildings are my own. I've just adapted Romain Tristram's style into the scene. Next, sticking with the lettuce analogy, let us add reflections. It really just gives that nice depth to the world and really just grounds it. I love it. The final piece is functionality. George Westinghouse, Thomas Edison, and Nikola Tesla. All of these amazing men have one thing in common. They're also all dead. But they also give us a nice segue into our next segment about turning lights on and off. Now I've been getting a ton of requests to show more code. and I'm just here to give the people what they want. So we have this global lighting controller that is responsible for flickering all of the lights on and off. Its job is to send a message down to each of the blocks in the form of an event. And then each building gets the message and relays it down to each of its lights. Each building has multiple lights, and we find the lights on the building using the transform.find function. And then we switch them on and off. Now we can add an infinite number of lights to the scene and easily flicker them on and off at any speed. We can flicker them slow, medium, and my personal favorite, European Rave. As you can see, we can turn on lights faster than my 15-year-old self looking at, well, pretty much anything. And in future vlogs, we're going to be adding support to turn off individual buildings, but for now, this is great. So I'm feeling good about this, but it was just an experiment. We're going to fast forward a month where I've used everything I've learned to start a proper downtown. Look at these handsome buildings. They're way cleaner and more detailed, and like a hug on Christmas Day, I'm feeling real good about this one. Now I've really cleaned up on the details and colors, including a nice use of gradients to emphasize the lights. More importantly, I've added the box building, my strongest building from an art perspective and the centerpiece of the downtown area. It's so important to the scene, I've added some extra features to really make it pop. First, we've added rain. It adds so much flavor to the scene, Guy Fieri would be proud. If you notice, we've also added these hanging TVs with giant, creepy eyes. And if that's not creepy enough, we made them follow you as you run by. Spooky. And just like my lazy-eyed gray Uncle Ben in ATRIO, you never know when you're being stared at. And that concludes our journey to build our downtown. From this to this, talk about a glow up. Hey, something cool that happened? I moved. I felt like it was time for a change in my life, so I moved on out. I'm super grateful for my dad for helping me out. And by the way, the 3-monitor setup is the greatest setup in the world, and I will fight you if you disagree.
How are you? Way above.
I will say it was definitely the right time for me to grow up and take that big step. So I took the plunge and moved out of my parents' basement into my parents' basement. We all moved out. That being said, I actually thought it'd be a lot of work to move out, but it turns out it really wasn't that much work.
So much work!
Okay, it was a lot of work, and I'm still in my parents' basement, but at least I'm ready to code now. So for Central Park, I needed some inspiration, and I found these maps and illustrations from the 1850s and 60s. I fell in love with them, and it became the inspiration for our park. It was a great year, by the way. The first elevator was installed in 1857, and there's nothing like a little elevator to, lift your spirits. So I transcribed the map onto paper, moved it into Illustrator, and then into Unity. And I'm gonna be honest, we did not get very far in the park. But we added a tiling script that lets us easily add paths, and we added item spawners. With the click of a button, we can add 10 flowers and 10 glow bulbs, 100 flowers and 100 glow bulbs, 1,000 flowers and 1,000 glow bulbs, 10,000 flowers? But I wonder, can we do 100,000 flowers and 100,000 glow bulbs? Okay, I think we froze it. But while it's loading, I'd like to thank our sponsor Square. We don't have a sponsor, but we do have a Discord, and it's awesome, and you should join. The link is in the description below. One eternity later. Yeah, right, it's been like 10 minutes. We're moving on. Now this is about as far as we got, but we actually put together some concept art that isn't nearly as embarrassing as the last stuff I showed you. So let me close out with those pieces. The first is the forest. Since ATRIO stands for atrioventricular, which is a valve in the heart, I wanted red to be our pop color. So we set our rivers to be blood red, and let me tell you, it bloody well stands out. And then I start to add details into the scene. Flowers, more flowers, electric posts, big electric posts, and vents, which I'm super proud of, by the way. I don't know why, but I love this vent. And then I move it off screen. And then I wrap it up with this mysterious monster and some trees. Now I have to touch on the trees because it's the best part of this piece. Our entire game is isometric, and I wanted our trees to look like they were almost 3D looking, almost cube-like, and ended up with trees that almost look like circuits, which we aptly named, wait for it, circuit trees. And the forest looks great. Next is the punk monk. In previous videos, I had been exploring giant statues. They ground the world and make the player feel small. This sketch was meant to be some kind of counterculture company that distributes unorthodox drugs to people. In order to buy the drugs, you walk into the mouth as if it's eating you in order for you to order. It was the start of our best piece that transformed into our cover art. Now, I don't know why I chose the Simpsons color. I really don't know what the hell I was thinking, but it's a really good start. But it's not 100%. If you've been paying attention to my vlogs, I literally spam the title art everywhere. So it gets upgraded pretty heavily. And that's it. Did we make a masterpiece? I think so, not this one. That was a lot of progress for a couple months, so I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. So we're out here in this gorgeous hike in Canada, looking at this gorgeous waterfall, and it really brings up one simple question. Who the fuck loses a shoe on a hike?